Toastmaster Sean Tucker, working toward his distinguished Toastmaster designation. He is our immediate past president and current area director. And today he's working out a Pathways Presentation Mastery Level 3 focus on the positive. His speech today is about history, tourism, and genealogy. Please welcome Toastmaster Sean Tucker as he gives us right the word for national audience.
I was very lucky. Earlier this week, I got to be in our nation's capital for the 4th of July. It was my 4th trip to DC, and it was one of the best. My first trip was several years ago, and it was a group trip, a group vacation, and I gotta be honest with you, I know a lot of people love group vacations. I hate them. I hate people trying to coordinate me to be at a certain spot at a certain time on vacation. I hate trying to coordinate people to be at a certain time at a spot on vacation. There's nothing about a group vacation I like. I'm just a free spirit. Honestly, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And honestly, I want you to do the same thing. It's basically, it's liberty. Now, enough about what I hate. Let me tell you about what I love. I love history. I especially love American history. And I know there's a lot of people out there today who have problems with American history. And I don't blame you. American history has some issues. But everyone's history has some issues. People, countries, everybody. History is nothing but the written story of what happened, and it's all about people, and people are problematic. So history is problematic. There's a quote from the West Wing that I really like about this. It says, they were asking Abby Bartlett about something problematic in history, and it says, for better or worse, it's our history. We're not going to lock it in the basement or brush it with a new coat of paint. It is our history. I love American history the same way my wife loves me. Flaws and all. Which is really the way you should love American history, because it's full of flaws. And you should love your family the same way. And I promise you, every family out there has some issues. They have some skeletons in the closet. There's a crazy aunt and a weird uncle in every group. There's that cousin you and your wife just don't talk about all the time in front of other people. My family history is loaded with great stories. We have bootleggers and bookies. My personal paternal bloodline dates all the way back to the Jamestown colony. 300 years, 10 generations, and not one Tucker in all that time has achieved any wealth, any fame, any status at all. 300 years of glorious mediocrity. And it's full of great stories. There are soldiers and sailors, ministers, farmers, Rosie the Riveters, NASA workers. I'm proud of most of them. There's a few I'm a little disappointed in. There were 3 that fought on the wrong side of history in the Civil War. But as Lincoln himself once said, don't criticize them. They are merely what we would be under similar circumstances. So back to the trip. My trip to DC was brief and itinerant. The first night, we took a tour called Monuments by Moonlight, which was a tip from DTM Jeff Ruffenock, and it is a phenomenal trip. It was both beautiful and educational. It was also in July, so it was incredibly hot, sweaty, and crowded. I highly recommend taking that trip in any other part of the year other than summer. So the next morning, we took a tip from another Toastmaster, Alex Cardenas. We took part of a tip from Alex Cardenas. We got up early, 6 a.m., and we rode our bikes to the national monuments. Now, if you get up early enough and you get to the National Mall and the National Monuments, at 6 a.m. there's no one else there, and you have the entire place to yourself. We were in the Lincoln Memorial alone. Now, there is nothing like standing in front of that giant marble statue of Abraham Lincoln with the sun rising behind you over the Washington Monument, and you're just by yourself. Early in the day, or later in the day, you're going to be there with hundreds of people, some of whom are clearly under duress and want nothing more to be somewhere else. They have no interest in history, but if you like history or love history like I do, go early. Enjoy the monuments in the solitude of being able to do it alone and by yourself. We walked from the Lincoln Memorial down to the Korean War Memorial, which, if you've never seen this memorial, is breathtaking. It's 19 bronze statues. They're 7 foot tall, and they're of the Korean War soldiers walking through what would be a patrol, I assume. And they're wearing their rain ponchos that look like they're kind of blowing in the breeze, and there was an exact breeze like that morning. It was breathtaking. The last time I was at DC prior to this, I had the benefit of being an honor guard guardian for a gentleman who was a Korean War soldier. And as I wheeled his wheelchair up to that memorial, he broke down in tears and wept. It was emotional. It was a very private moment that I was part of. It was amazing. Like the monuments, when you are there by yourself or you're there with somebody who they're important to, is his monument, are very personal. It's important. The next thing we did was we walked down to the Vietnam Memorial Wall, which you probably see. If you haven't been there in person, you've probably seen it in movies or pictures. It's 493 feet long, 58,320 names etched on it for the people who died there. Now, when you're there during the day, there are hundreds of people. It's hard to even get up to the wall. When you're there at 6 a.m., there's nobody there. We would walk a few feet, read a few names, walk a few feet, read a few names. It's 493 feet long. It's from here to that barber shop over there. It is, you can't wrap your head around that kind of pain and suffering unless you see it. Whoever created that memorial nailed it. It was beautiful. We went from there to the World War II Memorial. Again, phenomenal. It's giant in scope. It's impressive. We had it entirely to ourselves except for a maintenance man working on the fountain, a jogger who stopped by to take a couple of selfies. It was beautiful. The first time I was there at that one, there was a little old man in a wheelchair waiting for people at the entrance. It was Bob Dole. He was 90 years old. He would come out and sit there and wait so he could talk to other World War II vets at the memorial. Impressive. We left there. We went to the Jefferson Memorial. Stunning memorial. You've seen it a million times in pictures. It's the one with the cherry trees all around it. Jefferson is one of my all-time favorites, despite his controversies. One of his quotes is the founding principle for my political beliefs: if it neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. I think that means basically if you're not hurting me or hurting somebody else or charging me or charging somebody else, then I'm okay with it. Again, liberty. That's what it's all about. In summary, learn from our history, the good, bad, and the ugly. Embrace it. Don't hide from it. Acknowledge our shortcomings and make better mistakes in your lifetime. Thank you.